Recording with Toteras on the art of living, you'll hear some of the following themes. Toteras' reflections of a closed culture, his thoughts on honor, pity, pathos, and disgracing your family, the confusion between capitalism and American culture, his thoughts on the word gay and his mother's tit, what happens when the intimidating phone rings, America as the new Athens, Erroll Flynn and dope smoking, on fear as a survival tool, the is of identification, the era of synthesis, and his belief that the neo-dramatists created Jesus Christ, along with many, many, many more interesting themes.
Greeks falling in love. It's already exists. You can develop something and
Doesn't mean they're going to stay together.
no, but the chances of staying together are greater.
The chances are staying together are greater, yeah. Doesn't mean that they don't. They get divorced too,
Yeah, right.
But the chances of staying together are better. Because there's a lot of things that are very, 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 very similar. And we don't dare buck it, Like this friend of mine, he's an alcoholic. And he walked into where the bishop was at one of the get-togethers at the Greek church, and the bishop was visiting, and they had a dinner down there, and the bishop was giving a speech, and he had just left my house, and we were heavy into atheistic talk. He's a Greek too, and heavy into it, and he walked in that place drunk and loaded into the place, and the bishop said something, and he heard it, and he responded like, "Oh, bullshit," and the whole crowd heard it. Like his wife and his mother-in-law and all his family just,
Ooh.
Yeah, right. It really affected them.
Ooh. Wow.
Yeah, it really affected him. The wife demanded some kind of public apology to save face of her family. Like she's Cretan Greek, and he's not. He's a Greek American, but his family's from the Peloponnesus, from Sparta. And these Cretans were all embarrassed, like Cretans can't handle embarrassment at all. They kill, it's the only way they can save face. And traditionally the Cretan boot has a place for the knife that you kill your enemy with. Right? And when he pulled that knife out of that boot, man, they're going to kill you with it. If he comes looking for you, if you leave and get on a boat and leave, he's going to have to come and search you. This guy in Utah, this is some years ago, this is during my father's time, You figure how long ago that is. So the guy in Utah, he came from the old country, he came from a place called Mani, the very vengeful people there too, from the Peloponnesus. Some guy made it with his sister and split, came to the United States, Greek. So the family said, go get him. And he left, man, and came over here and found a guy in one of the mines up here in how's the name of that? Price, Utah. Price, Utah. And he killed the guy, and of course the Mormons hung him. But the fucking magistrate, the judge asked the guy, the translators, has he been repentance, anything at all? And the guy said, no, he's very happy. He said he killed the guy who fucked his sister. And he was very happy. They hung him. But he was very happy.
Right, he succeeded. He'd done what he was supposed to do.
That's right. His family sent him here to kill him, to save the honor of the family, It doesn't go unanswered.
Doesn't go unanswered.
That's right. Everything has to have some kind of responding thing. You say that's primitive, that's awful. And if from the point of indifference it is. So the point of indifference it is criminal, it is awful. But how about the life that he ruined of that girl? That girl can't get married, not in that Greece, not in that time. Today maybe, but not then. You made it with a woman, she wasn't ever going to get married if you didn't marry her. Okay? So he left that girl behind, wasted forever, just like she'd been a cripple, There'll be no children, she'll never have any children, she'll never have a family, she might as well kill herself. She looks toward old age, there's nobody to take care of her. She has no family. She'll be an ant, you know, the ant who got fucked. The ant who was mindless and let some guy fool her. Right? She'd always have that stigma. She lived to be 300 years old.
Wow, that's an amazing stigma.
So what do you do? I mean, you know, the guy who did that, who ran off and did that guy doesn't deserve to live. He knows what the penalties are. He knows what, you do that to a woman, you know what the penalties are for her. You must have some pity in you, some pathos, you know. If you don't have that pity or pathos, you don't deserve to live.
Oh, I see.
You disgraced my family. Why? What did I do to you? Why did you disgrace my family? Why did you disgrace my sister like that? What did we do to you? Does that make sense?
It definitely does, man.
Why do you leave us such a stigma? You're leaving out to find somebody to marry later and to have a family. But her, us, we have to protect her now, protect her name. Other people can talk about her. What do we do? Kill the whole village? Do we fight everybody? Listen to this. When I went back to Greece, right? Listen to this. I went back to Greece and I go to this other town, not far from Corfu. And it was a distance like from here to Sebastopol, a place called Alipu, called the Fox. And we went to a restaurant there. And I heard somebody mention my beloved uncle's name. And I listened and he raised his name in a derogatory sense. Right? So I went up and I asked him if he knew this man, you know. And he says, yes, quite well. He said, do you? I said, yes, he's my uncle. And I said, I tell you, right or wrong, I says, you spoke of him without any defense in his favor here, which is perfectly normal in Greek conversation. The man wasn't defended, and I said, I'm here to defend the name of my uncle. You know, because I found him always to be honest, always to be true, always to be fair and generous and what have you not. And he's maligning him, you know. And I said, I will have satisfaction. And he said, what do you want? He said, satisfaction? And I said, yes. And I closed the door of the restaurant, and there was about 16 or so people in there, you know. And I closed the door of the restaurant, and I said, yes, I want satisfaction. And nobody leaves until I've gotten it. And that's it.
Excellent. Oh, God.
So I made him publicly apologize, withdraw his statements. And then I sat down with him and drank, you know. You follow me?
Right.
I sit somewhere and somebody talks of my friend, somebody that I've drank with, eaten with, exchanged confidence with. I'm going to allow somebody to talk about him in my presence without defense? He's not here to defend himself. Right? The apology, he could go tell anything he wants to my uncle in front of his face. That's not nothing to do with me. It's just that he brought my uncle's name, which is my family's name, into a public area for criticism, you know. Well, how do we know that this guy's not lying? Why is he saying these things? You know, what other motives does he have? That's in a closed culture.
Yeah, that can take place there.
My grandfather shot a guy because he insulted his mustache.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, man. Yeah, he told him, he says, either withdraw or you've had it, you know. So the guy did, so he shot him. You have to defend your honor or else you don't have anything, man. If you don't have honor, if you don't have word, if you don't have, what the fuck do you have? A job, nameplate, I am a lawyer, I am a doctor. What the hell does that mean? That means you have a job somewhere. You're a job man. And I'm supposed to understand you. Wonder if you told me you were a chair or a barrel or a table. You have some utilitarian purpose. A doctor, he has only utilitarian value in my head.
Like a chair or a table.
Like a chair or a table, yeah. It's the name of a thing. It's he does a certain kind of job. I have to depend on something else. I can't depend on him telling me who he is by his job.
Yeah. Right.
I have to depend on him a certain other way. In a culture, hey man, you know, like I can depend on you having some. I'm sure he would have done the same thing if I had been talking about somebody from his family. I'm sure he would have responded some way, you know, being a family member. He had to.
Mm.
He's not going to let his family get run down like that in the public marketplace.
Mm.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have high respect for our women. We don't allow anybody to raise their names. We don't allow them to talk about. I mean, somebody to talk about your woman, your wife. Like one would talk about a woman in a whorehouse.
Mm.
I mean, the woman in a whorehouse has her own values, right or wrong, her own values for the whorehouse.
Yeah. Right.
But the mother has to raise sons and daughters that don't break the law. The mother has to raise and the father has to raise children that will respect the law. If you can't respect your family and your family name and your family itself, who can you start respecting?
Yeah.
How can I respect the law if I don't respect the law from the day I'm born?
But here, everything you've been saying, you're describing the situation in modern America. None of us have honor or a name or a family that we stand forward. We have none of this. We have no value that we...
No, American culture has that. What's happened is that American culture was confused with capitalism. That's not American culture. American culture is pretty straight. And the people that come here have similar values. It's just that the values, as they mix, each one suspects the other one. Each culture brings a certain value to this country. But instead of this enriching our values, we're finding that it's not enriching the values of the country. We're finding that it's dissipating the values of the country, that it's dislodging them, that it's breaking them and fragmenting them.
Polarizing.
Well, it's more than polarizing means two poles. You know, this.
Okay. Oh, I see what you're saying.
It's not two poles. It's 5 million, billion
it's exploding
poles.
things. I see what you're saying.
You know, it's the things that in the process of mixing are actually breaking themselves apart, like detergents. You know, there's a process of separatism taking place that's more insidious than the separatism that takes place on the upper levels. Like there's separatism taking place amongst the women as feminists. That's another separate category.
Yeah.
Gays, that's another separate thing, with their own language, with their own value systems. You know, it's not just races now that had languages that were different. These are different languages too. I was with a homosexual. I don't like calling them gay because I always considered myself a gay person, meaning happy.
Right, yeah.
You know, I always considered myself having a gay time. You know, it was a word that I had learned in English when I was learning English that made me feel good. Gay, I had a gay time, the gay 90s. Right. I don't want that to be a word that's been taken over by a certain gender. Can you call them a gender? Men who like men. Has been taken over by a gender as their special domain. You know, there's words that express what they do or what they want to do. Why do they have to use words that were endearing to me? And now I can't call myself gay without telling somebody else that I'm a homosexual. And I'm not.
Mm.
Personally, I love women, not just sexually. I love their voice. I love the sound of their voice. Sometimes it puts me to sleep. Yeah, sometimes it lulls me into a sense of false stupidity. Sometimes it raises certain areas of immodesty in me. Sometimes their voice turns me on erotically. Sometimes it angers me and it screeches on me like fingers on a blackboard. You know, it does a lot to me, a female voice. It threatens me sometimes, but then I'm very quick because I can detect it, and I mull it over with a movement, and I control it, right? And I love it, and I punish it, and I do all these things just when it's necessary. Because I find women to be comforting, nurturing to me. Like, my mother breastfed me, and I loved my mother's tit because it was wholesome and filled with wholesome milk, and it made me fat, and I loved it. And I can almost remember my mother weaning me and me wanting to suck on another tit. It was, no,
No, leave the phone.
no.
Leave the phone.
I shouldn't be intimidated by it.
That's right.
It intimidates me. It sounds like somebody wants my voice, and they don't want to tell me anything. My mechanical voice will talk to them. That real estate woman, I threw her out of here. She came over here and she got huffy with me, and I told her the same thing I'm telling you now. I said, hey, I said, you know, that's funny. I said, because I really very rarely ever get angry with women. And I says, you know, and you're getting me there. And she got huffy, man, with me. And I said, you can't talk to me like that. I said, get out of here. And I said, you can't talk to me like that, man. I said, get the hell out of here.
Excellent.
Oh, I threw her out of the fucking house. And Bibi was there.
Hooray.
And she says, I knew you were going to do that. And I says, no, man. I said, she instigated that. I said, people don't talk to me, and I don't allow people to talk to me in that manner. I don't, because I don't talk to them in that manner.
That's right.
You know, and I require the same kind of thing that I do. Now, this is very important in an old culture. In an old culture, everybody has his way of talking to somebody. Like if I'm talking to an older guy, I got to watch what I say. You know, I can't disrespect his years. I can't disrespect his empiricism, his experience.
Yeah, his experience, exactly.
Yeah, I can't do that. Even though I suspect him, or even though I think he's wrong, I owe him the dignity of accepting his argument.
That's right, the fucking honor.
It doesn't make any difference he's right or wrong. I know what's right. I know what's wrong. If he influences me, I was ready to be influenced. You hear me?
I hear what you're saying.
There's a more natural flow between learning and disseminating information. There's a natural flow. You can't do what I do unless you've had the experience I've had. I can't do what you do unless I've had your experience. In our different experiences, when we recount our experiences and when we recount our way of viewing them, we're expressing our world. We're expressing our philosophy. Like if I was in Greece now, what philosophy would I be expressing other than the philosophy that everybody knows? I wouldn't be saying something. I say this over here and people say, you're totalitarian, you're dictatorial.
Dictatorial, right.
You're this. No.
Or a chauvinist. You've been called chauvinist.
Yeah. Over there, the basics have already been argued out. What's being argued now is who is going to do what, when, you know. That's getting kind of confused all over the world. The pecking order is being destroyed all over the world.
Yeah, in all the cultures.
All the cultures. Not just this culture, but all the culture. The only thing is that we're at the forefront here of it. Like we've probably done more in the world on pollution than anybody in the world has. Like we've taken monstrous bites into the concept of pollution, more than anywhere in the world. Why? Because we saw and recognized immediately that there's something is wrong. We're a place that doesn't mind realizing that we're wrong. We don't mind admitting that we're wrong. This is a new Athens here. It is. It's a new place where the philosophies of the future will be born here, nowhere else in the world. Because we have such a broken down fiber in the various aspects that makes life possible. We've broken down in these areas. We've broken down in the areas of human compassion, pity in the classical sense, empathy for each other. We've allowed ourselves to feel so incompassionate. We've allowed ourselves to be beguiled into the importance of the self. I'm only worthwhile as to the worthwhileness that you place on me. You know, my worth is the worth that you place on me. That's what my worth is. To me, I just live, I keep living, but my worth is an excess. Worthwhileness is an excess.
Is an excess?
It's an excess above the survival state.
Okay.
Right? I go eat, I cook, I do this, I do that, I do whatever is necessary to survive, to eat. Right? To eat. To exist.
Right.
If something applies worth to me, it's a freebie.
Oh, okay, it comes on top of. I see what you're saying. Sure.
Right? But in our zest to bring ourselves up to some artificial worthwhileness here, it's an artificial worthwhileness. It's not an activity of what you do, it's an activity of what you gain. It's not the activity itself that the worthwhileness is there. Like the hero, the fact that he did something extraordinary made him the hero. Here, Milken taking millions or billions of dollars, his argument isn't that he put a lot of old people in the poorhouse. His argument is, I'm sorry I got caught and have to go to jail.
I have to go to jail.
On statutes that are fuzzy, that on appeal might come apart. But when I get out, I'll have at least $500 million to tide away the rest of my life, you know. People are looking at that and they say, has there been a crime committed? I don't see the poor people throwing Milken to them and letting them decide what Milken's punishment should be. Not some woman feminist judge named Kimba, you know, decide what he should get. Why should the judges decide who's to get what? Maybe the judge didn't have breakfast that morning and the judge feels upset. So he slaps 20 years on me. Maybe the judge that morning was kissed on the ass by his wife and he feels excellent this morning. Maybe that judge sits now in judgment of me and says, I take pity in the poor bastard. He didn't have his balls licked this morning or his ass kissed or good breakfast or what have you not. You don't want to get in front of a judge whose kid has been run over by a drunken driver on a drunken driving charge, right?
Ooh, Jesus, right.
So why should Milton be judged and tried by impersonal people who probably weren't affected by his schemes and scams? They're theoretically punishing him, right? Did he or didn't he, on a theoretical level, on a level of abstraction that the same conversation of what a painting is worth, that's what that level is worth also. Yes, what the painting is worth is what legal conversation is about.
Yeah, right. The value is over there at the profit end of things, the end of it, the dollar value.
Well, law talks about law. They want to find a balance into legal reasoning. That's what law is interested in. Law's not interested in the fair play of what's going out there. Law's not interested in justice. That's not the interest of law.
I guess that's been lost.
The interest of law is the balanced argument.
Was
the balance between the accusation and the defense. It's within the discoveries. It's within the pleadings. It's within the word duplicity in law has to do with pleadings. Like you can't do double pleadings on one issue. You can't make double pleadings. I mean, what you plead once, that's it. You can't do two or three of them. There's only one, right? Now we'll light up a joint. We'll smoke dope. Duplicity in law doesn't mean the same thing as duplicity means to the moral man.
But wasn't it one time law, fairness in law, weren't they unified? I mean, fairness to the people involved in law? Wasn't that an issue?
It's an interesting argument as to, and it really doesn't pertain to what we're talking about now, but the sense of what justice is. The argument of justice, in the Platonic argument of justice, is not the same argument of justice that we have here. I mean, the justice that we have now. We have a whole different argument that would be interesting. It would be interesting one of these days if we don't demonstrate some of the arguments of classical justice and some of the arguments of modern justice, of what we consider to be justice, and see if these applications of justice don't apply to the feminine, masculine argument. The women have a right to have a right. They have a right to have what they feel, to say what they feel without being beaten, without being discriminated upon. They have a right to this. I mean, our goddamn common sense tells us they have a right to it.
Common sense tells us that.
But how do we incorporate 2 million years of evolution? You can't legislate that out of a man. You can't educate it out of him. If I have my wife here and I see my wife flirting with my friend, I see them sneaking off, I see her coming back with bite marks, hickeys on her neck. I, that night, go to make love with her and she's wet from another man's insertions. This is what is it? I mean, how do I handle this? Can I handle this reasonably? You say, well, this is an argument that you've constructed. You've made this up. You've made these exaggerations up. But it's not true.
That's not true, man.
I know many, many men who've been duped and felt, educated men of the clergy who've been ravished like this by this, and they felt awful about it. It introduces you to some kind of pathology. What it introduces you is to the concept of sacrifice. Like when you can't sacrifice something that isn't precious to you. And when your wife is laid out on the bed, and the goddess of sex sends this man with this tumescence and inserts your wife on the bed, which is the altar of your home, and inserts your wife. This is where your progenies, this is where your family is to be made on this bed.
Wow.
I mean, in the Greek culture, the priest comes and he blesses the bed that the newlyweds will sleep in, right? Which comes from the ancient rites of fertility, so that the family can continue. Very important, right? That the family continue. Existence was counted on by family.
Right.
Eternity was considered to be in through your family. Well, in essence, if you have grandchildren, which you probably will have, you have done what you were put on this earth to do, to leave another generation. The activities of creation weren't interested in how you played equity and you judged justice, or how you attributed yourself into the pursuits of the Furies. The creation itself wasn't interested in this. The Big Bang Theory has no morality. Astronomers are immoral creatures who look at a very immoral universe. And they're revered along with the rest. They're revered along with the rest of the sciences.
Yeah, the high priest of modern
times. The high
times.
priest of modern times. The man who will tell you if you were to die tomorrow. Well, give a shit. I mean, what a punishment to be told when I'm going to die. That was a punishment. That could be an awful punishment.
Boy, that sure would.
To know how and when.
And when, at the exact moment.
And to look at the fucking clock. The man who's looking at the clock is the man, Pios chronologizi, the man who is studying time, watching for his own fate, looking at his own demise. He knows his day. The astrologer told him his time. The astrologer who's become today the introducer of your psychological world to the recipient. Like if you want to tell somebody more quickly today who you are, you tell them what month, day, year you were born.
Yes.
You whip out a deck of tarot cards from your back pocket, an astrology chart, a Ouija board. What else? There's other things that you might be able
Crystals. Get the crystals out.
Crystals and some channeling probers and then things. Your world will be put together in a more briefed way. The law has developed a way of taking all the facts and combining them into a very small group of things, and they call that a brief. So you could look at the essential facts of all this bullshit was about, and then approach it from all this condensation, right? Well, see, astrology has done the same thing as the law has done. It's condensed possibilities of events, within a certain area. Not all possibilities, of course, have been examined, but they've allowed tools and instruments that can examine these possibilities as they appear. Right? And keep going on from there. So astrology has done the same way. The multitude of combinations that come together allows the astrologer to give another interpretation according to the depth of his imagination and the depth of his education. The more educated, the more read, the more aware, the more insight you have, the greater your interpretations will be of what's going on around you. So mastership in physical examination, like the gypsies study your hand. They can tell if you work or if you don't work. They can tell by the calluses on your hand almost to the damn tool you touch, There's a lot of things that the hand reveals other than the lines on it to tell you about you. I tried one time fooling the gypsies by having them read the soles of my feet. I wore gloves. And I took my shoes off, and I laid on my back and had them read my feet. Of course, they don't normally read feet, but I had to pay extra to have my feet read. But of course, feet, because of their activity, is a different activity than hands. Hands grab, pull to you, lift. Legs take you. With legs are the verbs of your body, They
verbs of your body.
Yeah,
That's
they take you away. They walk you away, don't they? They whisk you away. They let you run away. They let you come. They bring you to. The hands hold on to things, right? They grab. They try to make things stationary. They put things away. They open up drawers, they sharpen knives, they use tools. They help the mind do something else other than take the body away. Right?
Yes.
Like I can't get away, so I've resigned myself to be permanent, to be stationary, to allow my mind now to flee, to take the verbs and the nouns and to place it all into my thoughts. So now they all have vehicles to move with, right, to take off with. And the only way that I see that these things can be done is through the rhythms of things. Like, I like staring at the walls now. I like just fixing my head, my eyes to one corner of the house and not tiring myself by constantly looking. And I just leave myself there. Yeah. I leave myself staring at the wall for hours and all kinds of things take place, you know. As my mind gets tired of one thing, like I might work out katas in my head. Or then I see structures in my head as I'm staring at the wall.
Uh-huh.
I never move from here. And things keep happening. So 3 or 4 or 5 hours might go by and I'm just exhausted. So then I might just go lay down and then my whole day has been maybe the movement of 10 feet. Yeah.
Physical movement of 10 feet, but metaphysical movement of 10,000 years.
Well, that's why I
maybe.
need a woman around to take care of me, man. You know, to do certain things, to keep me alert. Like I'll go in and I'll wash dishes because somebody that was there to eat, right? Or I'll cook because there's somebody that I'm thinking should eat. But if there was nobody around, nobody eating or something like that, I would really, somewhere along the line I'd forget to. You know, I become occupied with it. So you see, we need people for the things that we do. Right?
Yeah.
I need,
Yeah.
look, I need women. I need a woman. I need women. I do. I need them for the things they do. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
They pick up things, they wash things, they cook, they lay out the dinner, they do things, man.
Mm-hmm.
They make beds, they wash, they take things to the laundry. They do things, they clean up the house. They do, man. I can't do them things.
Yeah.
Of course I could do them. Of course I know how to mop. I know how to do that. But I don't do them things.
Right.
I forget to do them things. Like, I'll put a pot of food on the stove, and I'll forget it, man. I forget that it's in there. I'll forget what day it is, what month it is, what year. Because I have no interest in it.
Yeah. Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
There's no interest in it. So we need people. I'm talking about now needing of people. Why did I need my wife? Why did I need her? I needed her, man. Why did I need her?
To survive, to do those
Yeah, to
things.
survive emotionally. Yeah, there was my emotional survival at that period of time. Right? You have to survive first and foremost physically, then you have to survive emotionally. You have to feel, man. You got to be able to have somebody that you can make contact with the world. All right, people are the way you make contact to the world with.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you're making contact with the world, man, when you're here with me, but we're sitting in a chair on top of a mountain.
Right.
What world do we contact with? Now you get into your car and you say, I'm making a contact with the world. What world? Highway 101 from here to SF, right?
Right. Right.
That's the world.
Yeah.
And then you go back into your house, and you might turn the TV on or the radio. Are you making contact with the world? Yeah, you think. Your TV, the radio. Little slivers. And we're making contact with the world.
Yeah. Right.
Little slivers of awareness, and we're making contact with the world. That don't make sense. Modern man is making contact with what? He's not making contact with the fucking world. He's making contact with more pictures.
Pictures with a couple different medias, with his automobile, with the grocery store, the gas pump.
That's right. The information process, you see, is let people escape, criminals go unpunished, criminals punished. Like, I'm for letting all the two big criminals out of jail, man.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
It's a huge burden. Huge burden. The dope
Oh, it's
dealers.
ridiculous. They're trying to wipe out a race of people by putting them in jail, the blacks. Oh, yeah. They'll just keep packing them in. Whoever takes over is going to have an amnesty, man, and let all these people out of jail, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I have friends that are in jail for talking over the telephone. Stiff sentences. Stiff sentences. Absolutely stiff sentences. Ridiculous sentences. In prison. What's McCullough's kid? Art's kid. He comes here. It's disturbed the kid's life tremendously.
Poor little guy. Jesus.
Huh? I told him that the guys want to have Saturday so you could be around, man.
Hmm.
He just couldn't believe it.
Oh, excellent.
He couldn't believe it. Hey, man, he couldn't believe it.
Mm.
You see, by his father being in jail, he's lost his worthwhileness in his own eyes. He's lost it, and he needs it now. Because if that stays with him, it's bad news, you know.
Yeah, it is.
It stays with him, and he feels everything he does is not worthwhile. Everything he says has no meaning. It's meaningless.
Jesus, well, that's the nation we live in, though. We're a nation with no worthwhile. Everything we say is meaningless. There's nothing that connects anywhere. How do we communicate with each other? We don't.
Yeah, for me to communicate with another person, I have to have my value system pretty well put together. In my value system, what value system? Modern times has no value system. It is opposed to a value system because it's finally catching up to what the scientific methodologies have always espoused. You can't make a scientific observation if you involve yourself with values. Values aren't to be used in any scientific observation because it clouds the observation.
Yeah, that's really what we've got to do.
It muddles it, and eventually, the language that this discipline talks in, the valueless language that it talks to, eventually has affected the educated class of people. The educated talk almost in a vacuum, valueless. The educated's value are what? What values do they have? They have the value of the moment. Yeah, it's a valueless language that's been given to us now from the universities. You know,
That's right.
each discipline espoused itself as a scientific discipline in order to survive. Sociology had to become a scientific discipline, a social science. The disciplines of, as far as history is even concerned, as history becomes now statistical, it's moving itself into a quasi-mathematical discipline, which allows it to have some cover of a scientific discipline, which will allow it to get more money from certain benefactors, right?
Yeah, the communication sciences are moving into communication sciences, the quasi-scientific things. Yeah, it's all becoming these quasi-scientific. Unable to have a value, though. Unable to deal with real values.
Well, you can't have a value, you see, in a scientific observation or in a scientific methodology. You just can't. Your training is such that you don't. So the scientist has two worlds. He has a world of values that maybe his church has. And many people say, well, how can you as a scientist have any values? So how can you go to church? How can you believe in God? How can you, be part of these rituals, these things? But what it does is it keeps some kind of cohesion of values whereby my activities in the scientific realms, I can't I'm devoid of values. Right? Devoid of values totally. So I have to have something else that keeps my valuable put together as my values assembled somehow by some traditional way. They're assembled and I'm part of that assemblage. Oh, I might interpret it a little this way and a little that way, but the assemblage is made up for me. The ritual is made up. I can't be so bold as to say I'm going to conceive and concoct my own ritual.
Yeah, but that's going on like mad right now.
It's like concocting your own kata. It's like concocting your own. I mean, you're not a master to concoct your own. Only the masters can concoct their own, and only once in every millennium is there a master. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, but the white...
There's only been one Socrates. There's only been one of the kind. There probably will only be one Dr. King. There'll only be one. There'll never be that beautiful. How can they even... He's beyond, like Nietzsche said, he's beyond the common mundane. They're trying to apply common mundane attitudes to him. He was fingered by fate for that kind of destiny. The rest of it was the man in him. The man in him had to be fed the same way as his mouth had to take in food. His body had to be touched by a woman. It's very, very, these prudish people of the, it's the American mind wanting, you know, that kind of purity that the American mind is that the right knight, like Parsifal in quest of the Holy Grail, he was virgin. The mythology of the Protestant is virginity, male virginity, cleanliness, not touching that divine altar that the woman possesses.
Right.
Jesus, that's an altar that one bends and bows to.
We pray to.
Pray
Oh,
to.
boy.
It's been drawn and molded and sculpted and licked and kissed and fingered and hugged and everything that you can conceive. Oh yeah, more poetry's probably been written about that area. One of the most foulest areas of the human being. You know, bacteriologically, it's probably foul. The whole area behind there, beneath the waist, that danger zone is, right now, you know, it's awful. You know, they put a big danger zone sign on that area. They put peligroso, as the Mexican says, peligroso. Yeah, it's Jesus, it's awful. But you see, like, there has to be a feeling of daring do. There has to, maybe that's why I like smoking dope, because it gives me the feeling of Erroll Flynn in them swashbuckling movies that he had, you know.
Of
See, like my character was, I liked my character to be in the romantic type that was, you know, like Scaramouche or Cyrano, a life of play, of adventure, of things like that. So the trouble is that it actually fell in like that, and it scared the living shit out of me. So, like, I run around with a lot of fear in my head, you know? Like, you see me at night, I'm like a cat, man, you know? I go anywhere and my head's going around like one of them lighthouses. I'm just a walking alert button. And still I stay calm. Right?
Amongst all the fear, you're calm?
That was the whole trick, you see. That's the whole trick. That's the point that I get lost at a lot of times. Like, your fear is very natural to you. It's something that's been given to us to survive with. But keeping that fear in balance and in control is what the art of living is about. Right? Like, every move you make, you get married, you're scared, will it last? And somebody says, oh, don't think negatively, think positively. And then the first 6 months that you're married, all of a sudden you discover a new facet to your new begotten wife. Or she discovers a new facet in you that was brought out by the fact of being together every day of the week. Right? Sleeping together, sharing the same toilet, forgetting to lift the seat that she sits on it at night. It's wet because you didn't turn the lights on when you pissed in it. I mean, these are common things, little things that irritate the person, not the big things. It's the little things, like forgetting to flush the toilet after you took a good shit. Forgetting to put the toothpaste away. Forgetting to pick up this thing that you dropped and you letting somebody else pick it up. Doing all these little fucking things. And pretty soon the person is looking at you as a burden. And that love now has transmitted from love to burden.
Yeah. Yeah, there is no art of living at that point.
There is no art. Oh, you're right. You see that?
That's right.
Art of living.
That's right. It's not appreciated.
The art of living. We've lost the art of living.
Yeah, that's right.
We think that going out and earning a living is the art of living.
No, it isn't.
And we've lost the art of living for the sake of being able to do something else other than just living. That something else is living in what? In some store-bought style.
Right.
that requires a lot of bucks. So I got to go out and, I mean, how many people do I know that made some money that didn't put a lot of time into their work? I mean, totally. If they were lucky to make anything. I mean, like Howard. He's devoted his whole life to being that trust attorney. He's a wreck. He's a human wreck. He comes up here to visit me, doesn't he?
Right. Burned out, totally.
Burned out, sick. He goes back, revitalized. Revitalized over what? Revitalized over my indifference for that world. My total indifference for that world. I have no concern for it at all. And though purportedly I was educated for it, not really, but some introduction to.
But that world isn't living for you, is what
No.
you're saying. You're focusing on the art of living,
The art of living.
the activity, the observance. See, it just struck me again that we're not trained or allowed to observe, like in a relationship with me and my wife, the changes when I see her in a new light. That's seen as something wrong now, a decaying of the relationship, as opposed to being able to see that, oh, there's a new thing taking place. We're not, the enjoyment isn't on the activity of being in the relationship, it's on something else.
That's right, it's a reflection on what you expect.
Jesus, that's all confused. That's not right.
Yeah, well, the thing is that they've made money on that thought already. They've made money on that thought already. That thought, when they discovered that thought to be so pliable, they've made money on that. Like your expectations argument. This is what you're expecting of. They've made money on that thought already. They've made money. We're talking about a thought now of what? We're talking about a thought of equality. Equality connotes sameness, not differences.
Right.
Disequality is differences. Equality is sameness. Now, one, to protect sameness, must protect the status quo. Am I right so far?
Right.
Am I still... So protecting the status quo is the business of the law courts. They love protecting the status quo. Lawyers, when they take their oath, take an oath that they will protect and uphold the status quo.
Mm-hmm.
The status quo is against change. The status quo is probably, if we could use the word conservative, the most conservative aspect of a society. It's really the high priest of a society, the ones who make, govern, execute the law. Beneath them are the administrators of the law, the upholders of the law, the various courts of law, this whole system to make the populace behave, stay in tow, do something wrong and you'll be punished. The big brother has always been there.
Mm-hmm.
There's always been a big brother. There's always been a 10 Commandments. There's always been some prohibitum, some taboos to a society. There's always been the guy who addresses the one who has broken these taboos. There's always the guy who punishes the one who has broken these taboos. I mean, this is an old thing that keeps people obedient to a certain area, to a certain group. And along with this obedience, you see, comes a certain sense of prejudices too. Like an obedience to this means that a disobedience to that. An obedience to my mores means a disobedience to your mores.
Right.
Because my mores are relativistic, my mores are correct.
Right.
My mores are right. As long as there's an is in the language, there'll always be a right and a wrong. Right?
As long as there's an is.
The is.
Oh, the is of identification.
That's right, the is of identification. You're right. The is of identification. As long as there's an is, there'll always be a right and a wrong. There'll always be, he is right, he is wrong. I mean, the individual must take, respectively, responsibility for being right and for being wrong. You know, there's a certain responsibility for being right. I mean, if you take on the responsibility of being right, you must also take on the responsibility that somewhere down the line, somebody will come up and say, hey, you taught me the wrong thing, man. You know what I mean? Somebody will come up and say, hey, you taught me the wrong thing, man. You know what I mean? Somebody will come up and say, hey, you taught me the wrong thing, man. You know what I mean? Somebody will come up and say, hey, you taught me the wrong thing, man. You know what I mean? Somebody will come up and say, hey, you taught me the wrong thing, man. You know what I mean? Somebody will come up and say, hey, you taught me the wrong thing, man. You know what I mean? Somebody will come up and say, hey, you taught me the wrong thing, man. You know what I mean? Somebody will come up and say, hey, you taught me the wrong thing, man. You know what I mean? Somebody will come up and say, hey, you taught me the wrong thing, man. You know what I mean? Somebody will come up and say, hey, you taught me the wrong thing, man. You know what I mean? Somebody will come up and say, hey, you taught me the wrong thing, man. You know what I mean? Somebody will come up and say, hey, you taught or you did me the wrong thing, or you built me the wrong thing. Right?
Right.
I mean, I was right today, but it doesn't mean that changing times won't make me wrong.
Yeah, right. I see what you're saying. Sure.
Like communism was great while it lived at a certain point. But it's too stodgy, man. It's too, what made it drop out of the world? It just doesn't move fast enough.
Yeah, it's way too slow moving.
It's too slow, man.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And what you're looking at now, the American development is a speedy, rapid moving, evolved way of letting the president do it rather than letting all these senators get together and, you know, hash it out. The president does it for whatever reasons he feels necessary. So I mean, you know, you're getting a more streamlined system, a system that, you know, keeps up with the buttons. The buttons. Matter of fact, you have to respond as a person. You have to respond just as quick as the machines allow you to respond. I mean, you know, like you're making a phone call to me. You don't want to sit and hem and haw over the phone. You know, you want to tell me what's going on, right?
Right.
Because it's long distance, it's costing bucks. You just don't want to exchange gossip. You want to say something, right? So, I mean, everybody's got this in their mind. Your time is limited. You're going somewhere. What do you want? Let me put it briefly.
Right.
So everybody has briefed their lives to include a very short summary of who they are.
Wow, that's it.
Yeah, they say, I am Virgo, number 9, and the numerology chart. King over spades in the tarot. Something else upon here. How do you read me? And you know, well, I'm a Capricorn, and we don't make this. Chester one time, he was fucking gonna rent a place where he's at now. He was gonna rent it with this other dame. It was this warehouse, and everything was settled. You know, she was gonna take the lower, and he was gonna take the upper. And that was over 20 years ago. And she went to her astrologer, and the astrologer told her, man, that, you know, Chester wasn't the guy. And then she had a dream that was interpreted about him. So she fucking backed out of the deal, man. The blew Chester's mind out, man. The stars got him.
The stars got him.
The stars got him, man. Yeah, he said he was gotten by the stars. Numbers and tarot cards.
Tarot cards, right. Psychic readings and such.
Well, yeah, because they summarize the person.
Yeah. That's right. That's exactly what's going on. It's a brief exchange of information.
Yeah,
quick as possible.
Yeah.
How are you? Fine. Quick. What's going on? Boom, boom,
How
boom.
can you put it on a card?
Right. Yeah. Spell it out right now. What's
On a
happening?
card. If you can't put it on the card, you ain't nobody. That's right. If you can't put it on the card, who the fuck are you? And you'll say, well, I'm psychological person. I'm psychological Tad. And I'm not interested in that. It takes too long to listen to. And more than likely I've heard it too already from somebody else who just told it to me. You know, you went to that school of misdirection, miscommunication, Vanity Fair. There's so many of them. There's so many of them. They range all the way from deep finger penetration to head rubbing close to the ears, or chime ringing. You know, while somebody's giving you high colonic enemas. You know, there's a multitude of possibilities that are taking place in modern time. You see, you're living in an era of synthesis now. There's so many things that are coming together in the marketplace that the world does not need a new book. The world does not need one more book. There's just so fucking many of them. What the world needs right now is all these books taken and dumped.
Yeah, right.
And thrown away. A cleanup, like they cleaned up the Alexandrian. Can you imagine what it would have been like with 280 schools of philosophy in the Western world? They couldn't handle 10 of them. I mean, kind of, you know, it's lucky for Christianity, you know, Christianity came along, you know, and it got infused with this Platonic Aristotelian thinking, but had Christianity had no Greek philosophy, how would it have survived? Would it have been a more compassionate religion, you know? as opposed to living into an argumentative existence. I mean, watch the basis of Christianity, you know, begins in betrayal, begins in argument, begins in duplicity and hypocrisy and sycophancy, and traitorism is in duplicities. It begins, you know, in all the gray and black and dismal, melochromatic areas of the human soul. Like it begins in some festered pathology of the times, you know. You know, it was a festered period, you know, that Christianity was born in. It was the period of Roman decay, Roman intrigue, sycophancy was going on. It was ripe. The Jews were seething. They had been sick of Roman occupation. They had been sick of Roman suppression of their religion. Somebody popped up. Criminals were being crucified. The Romans were enjoying it. I mean, you know, this is the area that they chose. This is the area that the neo-dramatists chose to create Jesus Christ. The neo-dramatists are then philosophers that lived in the patristic period that created Christianity. They had their own visions of Neoplatonism. It had become closed cults, man. This is Longinus's, Porphyrius, Plotinus's works. These are works, you see, that raise other areas of understanding.
Philosophy has gone into mysticism?
Philosophy did. It went into mysticism. Went into theology. You know, it went into other areas as opposed into the areas. Philosophy changed in the area of observing nature and man in that nature to an area of idealism, to an area of studying man's psychology. It went into studying man's ethics. It went to studying man's and discounting nature, discounting the natural phenomena. They weren't interested in it anymore. It had to wait a long period of time again to be resurrected. You know, it waited till the period of Galileo to be resurrected as a philosophical force. This affects, you know, the relationships of men and women. All these periods were very explosive. All these periods that big, huge social traumas are taking place affects the male and the female equally. There was a period of time, I think, here, where the most ideal woman, I think, since the woman that Louis XIV developed, but of course this was royalty. But that same period, I think, of feminine elegance was in a period where they sold the American dream, the house with a lovely wife in high heels, Donna Reed, with high heels, cooking for hubby, lovely little children, which says they screw a lot. The more children in the family, the more screwing's been going on.
Right.
They, you know, by suggestion.
Right.
And she looked lovely. Her legs looked beautiful. She had a beautiful form to her. Her hair was combed lovely. She was perfect. She stayed at home. He went to work. She came home, and after we put the children to bed and read them their stories, we go, fuck. All that was implied in that perfect harmony. The world was going perfect. And that lasted, you know, for about 20 years. It had already disappeared while it was still going on, right? Its impetus made it move for about 20 years.
By the time it ended, it was gone.
Yeah, it was gone. Oh, yeah. The wife was found to have been fucking the neighbors. The wife was discovered fucking the gardeners. I mean, that dream of the American housewife behind the GE appliances that Ronnie had sold to them when he was a GE salesman. The American way of life. He came back as president to defend that way of life that he sold to them in the 50s. He sold to them something in the 50s, and when that was threatened, he came back posing as a president on TV to save it for them.
Wow.
That's what happens, you know. That's the whole process of these images. The average person out there in the street doesn't realize this. But when philosophy and theater mix, and then you bring in the divine aspect of all the muses, you start finding out, you know, that the human being is a very attracted creature. Things attract him, little glitters somewhere. He goes, looks for it. That's why gold is gold, because it glittered. Had gold not glittered, you think man would have made it so precious? You go into a supermarket now and you tell me how many potions they have to make the thing you own shine a little bit better. You tell me that.
That's right.
Huh?
That's right. Everything is
in the hundreds.
Right.
In the hundreds, from shoe polish to silver polish to pot polish to stove polish, through car polish, through wax, through buff, through teeth polish, ear polish,
Right.
balls polish, toenail polish,
Personality polish.
everything is to polish, to brighten and to highlight, to detail out so it can shine and stand smooth. But amongst all shining objects, all the objects lose their shine. Right? It just becomes one big glowing sun. I used to watch this guy from my window. And I used to live in Daly City, and he had a beautiful black Cadillac convertible with a white top. And it was the old fishtail ones. This was in when did I live there? In the late 50s and early 60s. And he'd take the car out and he'd wax it. Yeah, he'd wax it, man, all day Saturday. And then on Sunday he would drive it for about an hour.
Jeez.
And then bring it, I was immaculate with white wall tires. And one day I was watching at the window, and I was good and stoned too. And what happened just happened. I didn't know if it was epiharapakia that made this hallucination come to my eyes. This car came flying around the corner, and this guy had just gone upstairs to either take a piss or something. And man, there was smash. Yeah. The car was drugged like about 10 feet, man, just like that. And the people backed the thing up, that thing that hit them, and the half boom, 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 they taken off down the street. The guy came running down, man, and I was watching him. Jesus.
He must have just died.
Oh, you can't believe it. You can't believe the gyrations he went through. I used to sit and watch, and I said, what a fucking fool, man. That was going through my mind.
When he's worshipping this thing.
Yeah, that's right. He was worshipping this fucking thing. I didn't think of it, looking at you worshipping this thing. I felt it in a sense of feeling, what a waste of time. Was I wasting my time looking at him wasting his time? You know what I mean?
Well, no, I think
he was becoming a source of my
your observation.
Irritation. Yeah, but I found myself looking at him all the time. And then when it happened, I felt this relief that both of us would be relieved from the strain that we were both in. He looking at the car, and me looking at him looking at the car. No, that's what the process was going on.
Wow.
It wasn't as obvious.
That's amazing.
It wasn't as obvious to me at that very moment when I was doing it. At that very moment when I was doing it, I was looking at him, But when I looked at it from another view again, I saw, what was going on. And there was a momentary feeling of relief for me and him. Like he was saved that Saturday. He would do something else. He would maybe now fuck his wife. Or play with his children, or maybe just masturbate. Something else. Other than fucking with an object. Well, he would say, if I was to ask him, though I never talked to him, if I was to ask him, he would tell me that it's a work of art that constantly needs. Howard spent months cleaning his carburetor with a Q-tip every Saturday and Sunday.
Jesus.
He had lost his mind, Had lost his mind. And I hadn't heard from him for a long time. And I heard from him one day, and he says, "Oh, how you doing?" You know, I said, "Jesus, what have you been up to?" He said, "Jesus," he says, "man," he said, "I'm cleaning my carburetor for about 18 months."
Fuck.
Yeah, you can lose your mind, you know.
Jesus, evidently.
Hmm. This guy had lost his mind. He was seeing himself in deeper and deeper images in the shine of that car. You know, how he knew that the car shined is what that shine reflected from the outside world. He was looking at the images. He wanted to polish up the ability to abstract images from the outside world, to recreate the outside world on the surface of that piece of iron. I found that to be true when I was in the army. They wanted you to shine your shoes to the point that you could almost see in them. And you become obsessed, you see, with the reflection as opposed to the thing itself. You're looking for a higher reflective value.
Than the thing itself.
Than the thing itself, yeah. It's not a shoe anymore, it's a reflection you want. Its ability to retransmit, to recreate again, to bring the imitative value of visual reflection. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
See, we're in that period of time. Our vision has been shut off because, like when you walk through a concrete world, the difference between being out in the country and being in a concrete world is, out in the country, the background changes all the time. The wind blows, the trees sway and move. It's in motion. You know there's life out there. You can see the animals, you can see the deer, you can see the mountain lion, you can see these things. But in the city, what you see is things that have been placed there. So eventually you walk by them and you don't see them anymore because they're there all the time. And you don't see them anymore. You move along. You go into what you're doing, and the only time you start seeing is when you're presented with your problem. Maybe it's on your desk. It's not on the workbench anymore. The tools now are different as to... So your alertness is different. So the machine now has to go through the process of telling you to become alert. Because the machine knows, it's been programmed, it knows that you got here in some kind of hypnotic state. Yeah? And then people come out of this state to want to get married. They want to live together. They want to have children together. Well, you're talking about sick people. These people aren't well. How the hell can they get married? I mean, who are they getting married with? The person who they see coming through this hypnotic state that they met in the elevator, listening to that music, while they go upstairs in a room that constantly gives them that refiltered air. What they do when they refiltered air, they just draw in most of the bad odors that are there, and they pass it through a filter, and the filter, of course, is never the right filter. And they to get the air in these big buildings is reconstructed again.
Right.
It's reused continuously.
Right.
Because they can't afford to suck in air from the outside all the time. I mean, you might have a outside, like in Phoenix, Arizona. Let's say it's 120 degrees in August. Well, a big building over there is living on its refrigeration units inside. You don't want to open up them windows.
Yeah, right.
And start losing that pressure that you have inside that building. That building has to stay under a certain constant state, a certain pressure in order for that filtering system to keep working. But what you're getting is this old air all the time that's been just passed through a filter and then passed into the... So your everything that you exhale is passed again through that filter. So you're really breathing in all the time, this stale fucking air for 8, 9 hours, 10 hours a day. It's the same kind of stale air that they used to breathe in these factories. It's the same thing. The conditions haven't really changed. They just became more disguised, Like the modern workplace today looks very swank. It has a carpet, it has workstations, it has computer tables, it has that. But it still has the same monotony to it. It still has the dangers of the workplace with all these artificial pollutants that they have in them. So these people leave and they go back again into their subnomalistic world, going home again, the poor creatures, and they fall in love on the tram, they fall in love on the subway, they fall in love somewhere going from where to where, because all of a sudden something human is next to them. They're going home maybe they're married. It's exciting now going to work, I get to see her. I've become driven by this excitement to ask for something more. Shall we have lunch now? And she says maybe. I'm excited more. She says yes. On and on the excitement goes. So in order to make my life understandable again, I lived through a whole series of sequential excitements. You know, coupled together, you know, into some kind of pattern that the only fucking vice that the modern person can really pull off is what? What? Vice, did I say?
Yeah, the only vice.
The only vice would be what? Adultery. No, there's not even that anymore. There's what vice? He has no vices.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Modern man is viceless. I take it all back. Modern man is viceless. He has no vices. He's been clean. He's been to the aerobic class. The whole population is throwing their cars away and getting on the bicycle.
It's true.
Putting on a pair of spandexes and away they go. Right?
Yeah, that's right, man. Going to Wednesday night aerobics classes, eating less, diet food, diet drink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Regulated qualitative experiences with each other.
Making briefing. It's the whole process of briefing going on everywhere.
Yes.
Streamlining, cutting away the fat.
Cutting down, cutting off the fat, the pork barrels, getting things, finishing your job, showing your wife who you are. You got to show your wife who you are. You just can't tell her who you are anymore. You got to show her who you are. You can't buy her with your bullshit no more.
Yeah, you gotta prove something, don't you?
Yeah, you got to show her who you are. How do you show your wife today that you love her?
Jesus, by supporting something, by being able to take care of, you know, the commitment, the economic commitment, and by spending the time with her.
Spending time with her?
Spending time with her, right, and supporting the whole thing economically, not falling down. Right, when you're lazy, when I've been lazy, I've been accused of not loving her.
No, wait a minute. Since you introduced yourself, when you got married, what did you get married for? I mean, when your wife married you and you married your wife, she agreed to marry you for what reason?
For what reason? We were in love.
No, I mean, you know that she knew who you were.
Yeah. Yeah. To be together, to help support me, and I her in our life, in what we're doing with our lives. To be a part of each other. That's it. The loving was strong and beautiful, and the marriage felt and feels right, coming together and unifying. That's the only reason I can think of.
So to break apart would be the reversal of this.
Yeah.
The demystification. The demystification. The detumescence. Right? This is gonna... And you see, one without the other, one can't exist. I mean, how much you love your wife, how much you knew of your wife, how much this, how much that, can only come about by the fact of not seeing her anymore.
You mean as she's not there, I realize what it was, or I'm able to observe?
The longer they stay away, the more you do that. The longer they stay away, the more you realize as to why you were with them, or why you are with them. In a way, it's a dangerous thing for a woman to leave a man alone for a long period of time. Because the man's analytical. And by the mere fact that something's happened, he starts thinking about it. The mere fact that he feels lonely, he asks himself, why is he lonely?
Yeah.
If he says, because I miss my family, he says, why am I missing my family? Because my wife had to leave to go see her parents in a far, far away place. The man remains lonely. He tells himself this thing again, but he still remains lonely. You know, and man's loneliness is different than a woman's loneliness. Like a woman constantly keeps herself occupied, like that little boy, you know. I mean, she's constantly got to take care of that. They don't feel the loneliness like we do. It's a different kind of loneliness that a woman has. I don't know what their loneliness is. Maybe they don't know what their loneliness is. But every now and then somebody comes in to the family situation and the wife says, I did it because I was lonely. Huh? What do you mean you were lonely? I gotta go out every fucking day of the week and work. So I can bring home money so you can sit around here. You tell me you're lonely? How about me? Am I not lonely working all the time? The woman says, you don't understand. It's true. The guy don't understand. And I guess until we really got an honest consensus of you know, it might take another 100, 200 years to understand how the female thinks, you know.